Hey everyone, this is Dan at SPE Motorsport. On this week's product spotlight, we're talking cylinder heads. The 6.7 Powerstroke cylinder heads are an oddball when it comes to porting. We're going to kind of go over what we do with our cylinder heads and a new product that we're going to be offering to you guys, and kind of walk you through our development process and kind of talk about some of the positives and negatives of the 6.7 Powerstroke heads. So them in their natural state, they're actually very good flowing heads, say, compared to their predecessors, the 6.0 and the 6.4. These cylinder heads flow pretty good out of the box. They're fairly solid, but there are areas for improvement. So, you know, backing up to a modification standpoint, you know, if you're building your engine, you're trying to get more power out of your truck, you're going to obviously be turning more RPM. You're going to be running more boost, and all the simple things that you do on other engine platforms also apply to the 6.7 Powerstroke as well. So you're going to need valve spring upgrades. You're going to need potentially lifter upgrades, push rod upgrades, you know, things of that nature. And those kind of all come with the territory. But the one thing that's odd with the 6.7 head, which if you're new to the architecture of the 6.7 engine, the 6.7 engine is a hot V engine. So you have your exhaust manifolds mounted inboard of your engine and your block. So your exhaust is basically on the inside of the engine. The intake is on the outer side of the engine. So where your exhaust manifolds would be on a normal V8, they're not there on the 6.7. So, which we're going to go over here, exhaust side. And then this is obviously intake side. So this would be towards the valley of the engine. So one of the issues with porting a 6.7 Powerstroke head is the fact that the intake shelf, or the intake side of the head, is shielded. It basically has a shelf. And part of the problem with that is if you're using a porting tool, whether it be something on a CNC machine or whether it be a carbide on the end of an air tool, you can't physically angle the tool properly to get back to the rear face of the valve. So you really can't get into the seat. It's basically impossible. So one of the approaches that we've taken in the past is we used an abrasive flow media called AFM porting. And what that material does is we pump it through the head, and it changes the surface finish. It removes material and then creates a smoother path and opens that port up a little bit. So you're gaining flow and you're gaining a surface finish. The problem with that process that we found over a few years was it's just not super consistent. It allows for more power and more flow, but it's hard to get a nice balance between all the cylinders. And there's a lot of companies that do utilize that, even in forms of IndyCar and other racing. NASCAR is another one. But we wanted something that was more consistent. So obviously, if you want consistency, you want CNC porting. Well, it's all fine and dandy, but how are we getting our tool down in this port? So we really can't. You know, being that there's a shelf on this, if you want this port in this area in the intake side to be ported all the way down to the valve, is pretty much impossible. And if you don't want to cut this shelf off of this cylinder head and basically shelf it off, if you don't want to do that, there's really no way on a replacement aspect that you can do that without removing it. So what we did is we went to the drawing table and we came up with a way to port this and still get a decent gain. You know, the main thing is we want these heads to be able to be a replacement part. So we want you to be able to take your factory cylinder heads off your truck and put these on and still see a gain. So what we did is we went to CFD. So, you know, computational fluid dynamics. So what we're doing is we're looking at how this port flows. We're looking at its architecture, and then we're also testing it on our flow bench. So what we'll do on a lot of cylinder heads is I'll print a port or I'll run it in CFD. So one way of doing it is I can physically print the port and flow it manually on the machine, or I can run it in software. So being that this port was going to take a lot of renditions and a lot of changes, we started with CFD. Initially, on the intake side of this head, we opened this port up essentially the same way the whole way through, down as far as we could go when we CNC'd it. And that worked out, and we were able to get down decently far into the port. But what we noticed is we weren't gaining any flow. So we were opening this up and it was basically irrelevant, and we weren't seeing anything out of it. So on the flow bench, we noticed that right away. We went back to CFD and noticed that we had a lot of turbulence building up inside this port. So basically at the back edge of this port, there's a curve here. About midway down this curve, we saw a lot of turbulence. There's a lot of swirling going on inside the actual intake port. So that happening, it was actually creating turbulence, and it was impeding on flow pretty bad. So anytime you run a standard port, say for instance on the exhaust side, anytime you're flowing a standard port on the flow bench, you're going to basically create a velocity stack or a curve with clay, and it basically gets rid of the sharp edge, and it creates a volute. And what that does is it allows for a smoother air transfer so that you can actually get a good reading. So being the way these ports are made, and being the way that the factory head is cut open up here, and there's basically the shelf, and there's really no intake port, so to speak, as you would have with the exhaust. There's no actual port. So what we did and created is a false intake port down inside the head. And what that did is it created a volute, and it created a nice transition area to actually take that air that's being, surfaced above that port at 90 degrees, because you're pulling from all the way back here. What it does is it creates a transition for it. So that turbulence then was eliminated, even though we weren't going all the way down to the back side of the valve. At this point, now that we eliminated that turbulence, we saw a decent gain. And that's one of those things that you're not going to see unless you're doing CFD and you're running it on a physical flow bench. And that's something that we haven't seen done with these heads on a professional level and a level of making it manufacturable. The main thing we want is to be able to repeat it, repeatability. So not only balancing that flow across all cylinders, but being able to repeat it for you as the customer. We want this to be something that every time we machine them, we want each head to be the same. So that's a huge thing for us. So obviously the exhaust side, being that it's not a shelved port and it is a standard port, standard exit, as you can kind of see here on the exhaust side, it is a lot easier to port. You can kind of do a standard port job on that, so to speak. So exhaust was much easier to handle on these heads. It was pretty much the same as a standard cylinder head. Easy gains. That was an easy thing for us to achieve with them. But we also have to keep the ratio between the exhaust side and the intake side playing happily. You don't want to go way more on the exhaust side and way less on the intake side. It just doesn't work out well. So that's all things that you kind of have to juggle whenever you're creating a ported cylinder head or a program to do this. So we're going to go over some of the stuff that we actually do other than just port design and how we go about doing it. We're going to go over other things that we actually offer in these heads. So what we'll do is we do valve pocketing from both sides. So we do it from the valve seat side at the bottom of the head. So we'll actually come in the head here and we'll open this area up because it's an easy area for us to get to, and there's a lot of restrictions in that area of the head. So we'll go in there, we'll CNC port that side, and then we'll also CNC the valve pocket side for the valve spring. So the factory valve spring has a kind of a cutout relief, and it sits on top of the valve seal as such. Well, whenever we go to our spring package, our spring is a larger diameter, heavier spring. So we actually go in the top side of the cylinder head and open up these pockets. You can see the cuts and the sipes to actually fit these larger springs in here. So we're basically machining every aspect of the head. You know, we're going from the spring side, we're going from the valve pocket side, and, you know, obviously the exhaust and the intake side as well. We do offer valve spring packages and titanium retainers for the valves themselves. The factory keepers are actually they're a double keeper, so they actually have two retainer areas cut in the valve itself, so they're actually very efficient and they work really well. We've turned these engines well over 6,000 RPMs and have never had an issue with the factory keeper. So didn't need to redesign that. We run factory size valves in our heads. We're not running oversized valves. We saw no gains with it. And the other reason we don't like to run oversized valves in these heads is because of the actual material in the port area. If you start opening these up, changing your seats or recutting them, it actually kind of weakens the area, that area of the head. And when you're making big power, that's not really a good thing to be doing. So we don't mess with that. We run a factory style valve and keep it kind of simple. So obviously we're touching multiple places on this head, and obviously we have our reasons for that. Like I said, we have our valve spring packages, titanium retainers. Those are all things that are going to come basically standard with our street heads, which that's what we're calling these heads. It's our SPE street port head for the 6.7 Powerstroke. And these will work from 11 to current. So we have 2011 to 19 style port because the pattern actually changes on the exhaust side. They're actually changing the bolt pattern. So the port shapes all the way up through are pretty much the same, but the exhaust pattern does change. So, you know, obviously you guys understand the concept and our design, how we went about it, but obviously we need to talk numbers. Everybody wants numbers, and we're not going to go through all this headache to not give you a number on the cylinder head. So what we'll do here is I brought some printouts, and we're going to kind of show you some of the differences. We'll start with the exhaust port, and we'll show you some of the gains here. So the gains are easy to achieve on the exhaust side. So the exhaust port, obviously it's easier to get in there and actually port it more thoroughly because it's not shrouded like the intake side. But one thing that we wanted to touch on and talk about is your actual lift. You know, a lot of people, when they're flowing cylinder heads, they'll say, oh, peak flow's this. Peak flow's great. You need to know that. But you also need to know what lift does your cam actually have. You know, and you have to factor in the cam lift on the lobe and the rocker ratio. So you have to know that to properly understand how to read a flow sheet, basically. You know, you're going to want to know, all right, where's my valve lift at? If I'm running this cam, if I'm running a stock cam, you know, where am I at on that flow sheet? That's kind of a key thing. So we're going to look at this flow sheet here and kind of talk about that. So on the exhaust side, you're at about a 348 lift on a stock cam for a 6.7. That's factoring in the rocker ratio to give you that value. So you're about 348. So if I broke this down to where we can show you, you're at about a 159-ish CFM number on the exhaust side. We're bumping that all the way up to a 187. So the 187 value, going from 159 to 187 is about 27.4 CFM at stock cam lift, at a stock value. So that being said, that's a considerable gain. But we could actually go further than that. We didn't because we're going to get into the intake side and we have to keep this ratio working. So obviously the exhaust side was fairly low. The intake side isn't nearly as low in a factory trim. So you're at 177 at a factory lift of about 336 on the intake side. So at 177, now remember this port, we can't actually get all the way back to the valve when machining it. So this is doing all this with an area that we can actually physically get to. So we went from 177 to about 188 which is an 11 CFM gain on stock lift, which is pretty considerable considering the actual machining that we're doing on the intake side. So that gives you a very real world type of comparison, and it shows you how you need to also keep these playing nice together. You never want the exhaust and the intake to be a bad ratio. And when I say a bad ratio, I mean you never want the exhaust, which is the post operation of combustion. You never want the exhaust side of the head to flow more than the intake side. That never works out well. So it's basically just wasted time in the sense of porting. So what we did is we keep the intake side slightly higher. Even in stock form, you can see it here. We're at 188. So comparison, we're at 188 on the intake. The exhaust is slightly down at 187. So that keeps that ratio where we have a very balanced port arrangement at that point. We're not over the top on the exhaust. It's not flowing more than the intake. So it keeps everything pretty balanced. Now, if you look at the peak though, we continue the same trend. The peak is on the intake side is 199.3 versus 194. Now this is an open port at peak. So you can see we're able to carry a nice curve all the way from 200ths lift or all the way out to an open port. So we break it down here on this graph to where you can see that physical gain the whole way through. And even going from a 1/2 inch of lift to an open port, it's not a huge gain. It's not a considerable amount, which means that it's a very efficient port shape because we have a nice gain the whole way across that valve lift. We're starting, as soon as we get that thing open 200 thou, you're starting a considerable gain on the intake and the exhaust side. So there's a lot that goes into this. We spent a lot of time on these heads, and we really wanted to be able to show you guys that gap and that kind of efficiency range that you have to fall within, and this obviously helps make good power. So we kind of give you an idea of what we're trying to achieve there. And obviously there's a lot of other things and a lot of other questions that our customers and you guys are going to have on these cylinder heads. We'd be more than happy to answer any of those questions. I don't want to get too crazy and really get into comparing it to horsepower numbers and talking about other things that are on the market and how everybody else does it. This is how we went about it because it was the most efficient way to do it for us and for making the head repeatable. That was our key thing. So you can bolt these on a stock truck and get those gains that I just showed you. And you can bolt it on a truck with, say, a cam or a built engine with a cam with more lift and also see a considerable amount of gain as well. And that's what we wanted to achieve. We wanted a cylinder head that could cover from basically mild or stock all the way up to wild and still see performance gains. That's the key thing for us is, having gains across the board and not just focusing on one area. So we created a really well-rounded package that kind of covers the whole base of that. All right, guys, so as I said, if you have questions on the heads, we'd be more than happy to help you, whether it's a combination question, whether it's a specific question on the head itself. We'd be more than happy to help you with that. We've been more than happy to help you with your build or whatever else you may need. So shoot us an email, give us a call. We'd be more than happy to help you. Hit us up on social media, and we'll catch you on the next one.